Good evening. So when I'm looking for stuff to read, I routinely browse like lists of book summaries, and this was one of the books that I picked up last time I was doing this. It's called A Terrible Fall of Angels by Laurell K. Hamilton. I must have seen like 4 or 5 different books that time on people who could speak to the dead, but this was the first book I saw where it said the main characters spoke to angels. It is written in first person and takes place in a universe that's a lot like ours, except that there are certain supernatural elements that are just a part of people's everyday lives. So I think a really good example of this was when like a doctor mentioned that doctors have a required course in metaphysical medicine, and a lot of hospitals have their own policies for dealing with things like cases of demonic possession. So a lot of these things are just a part of people's lives in this universe. The main character is called Zaniel Havelock. He was trained as an angel speaker, so like someone who can see and speak to angels or like messengers of God without going crazy. But he currently works as a cop with a special division of the police that deals specifically with more supernatural cases. Like he's their angel expert. The story begins when he's called to the scene of a really brutal assault and murder because there are angel feathers at the scene, and this is like a really unusual thing, and this leads to them investigating a somewhat unique case of demonic possession where there are things happening with like this demon that have never happened before. And I guess during the course of dealing with this case, it dredges up part of Daniel's history. So like why he left the College of Angels and like some of the complicated relationships he has with like his own past and abilities and stuff. He's also dealing with a separation, I guess, with his wife. So they're going to marriage counseling and he's trying to straighten out that relationship, among other things. So I think something I liked about this story was just the uniqueness of the setting. I mean, I don't really see a lot of stories that include things like angels and stuff, and I think it was just kind of a fun thing to learn about a new world. Like I think for me it's always a draw factor just to see how these different universes function and like the different adaptations that people make in order to, I guess, incorporate these supernatural elements into their lives. However, the violence was pretty graphic, and since it does deal with angels in I guess really religious sense, it actually touches on a lot of different religious beliefs. Like I think it does so in a respectful way, so it doesn't really bother me, but if you are extremely sensitive about these issues, then that might be something to consider before deciding to read this book. Also, the story contains a lot of loose ends, so there's implications that there's something going on with the College of Angels and the people there, since they're like a slightly cult-like group, since they're so like exclusive. And because of Zaniel's history, I think it sounds like they're tying it into some type of bigger plot line. And then you have like a friend of his who originally went a little crazy and is now recovering. Basically, there's a lot of plot lines that are incomplete. The only one that actually concludes is the case with this specific demon, like dealing with it, getting rid of it, and stuff. So in that regard, like it feels very much like the beginning of a series.